Welcome to Live, Let, Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Myka and Steve.
Hello, hello, hello.
And welcome back to another exciting episode of
Live,
Let Thrive.
What is up, Myka man?
What is up, Stevie Stacks? I'm chilling, man. We are now on episode, what number?
Well, 115, I believe.
115.
Yeah, because Jay Matthews is 114, right?
Yes, sir. That was one interview. But
awesome.
We are coming back with another great interview. We have
a
go ahead.
A local rock star in the Airbnb real estate game. Yes, Cammie Myles. I've been trying to get her on for a while. Give it up for Cammie.
Hey y'all, glad to be here today.
Are you making a cameo?
Yeah, cameo.
So Cammie, I guess I'm gonna start off with Steve's question because he knows more about you than me. Who is Cammie?
Okay, let's see. I am an Airbnb specialist. So, yep, that's what I do. I used to be a professional photographer, and then I turned my studio into Airbnbs, and absolutely love it. So.
Okay. And so how many units are you up to?
Right now, we have 14 listings under management. So that's in 4 different states. So we're in Texas, Arizona, Missouri, and also Florida.
Geez, you're in every state I'm in. That's good. Okay. Where, Missouri, are you in Branson or are you
St. Louis.
St. Louis. It's crazy. I was in St. Louis, I think last year. And I was looking at my aunt's house and I was telling Steve about it. And I was like, man, St. Louis is a good place to house hack because of everything's almost 3 levels with the basement. So how is that market treating you?
St. Louis is hot. It just depends on what your location is, but yeah, it's hot.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah.
So are you arbitraging, buying? What are you doing?
I manage for that particular owner. So I actually took his property on. I didn't set it up physically. I set it up virtually. So they did the work, and then I actually critiqued it and set up their listing, and we were able to make Superhost in the first 90 days, and we averaged $6,000 to $7,000 in our first month. Yeah.
Ooh, in St. Louis? And how many do you have out there?
Just that one.
Just that one?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And how big is the unit?
It's about 1,700.
1,700 square feet?
Yeah, but it's really nice. It has like a media room and a pool table. Yeah, it's a nice place.
How many beds and baths?
3 bed, 2 bath.
Oh, wow. Nothing. You can't beat 6,000 to 7,000 on that a month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what got you started in the Airbnb world?
Well, I got started because we had a renter in our house that absolutely destroyed our house. We tried to get her evicted, hired a lawyer. We actually lost twice. So the reason we decided to Airbnb was because we just didn't want to trust anybody with our property ever again like that. We were like, no way, we need more control. So that's when we decided to start doing Airbnb, which is pretty funny because I had no experience at all. And you should see my first Airbnb was pretty rough.
Oh, wow. Okay, so like you have 14 units. So is your business is fully automated?
Well, I'm not fully automated. I mean, I have a lot of systems in place. I've learned a lot of lessons, and I definitely have automations, but it still takes the human factor. I mean, it's very, very hands-on business.
Mm-hmm. Like what part of your business takes that human factor?
Just the communication with every single guest. Unfortunately, it's not the same every single time, and some people need some hand-holding, and other people just need their feelings to be acknowledged. It's customer service. I know. It's just crazy, right?
I like that. Feelings to be acknowledged.
They do. Sometimes they just want to, vent on you.
All right. I got some questions. So let's take it back to the first your first Airbnb, because you said you did the long-term thing, had a terrible experience, finally got that lady out of your house that ruined your house. So then you went to the Airbnb route, and I don't know if you want to tell what city or what where the Airbnb is at, but you kind of described it to me. It's as like a kind of two houses in one, or how is the setup?
Yeah, this particular property's in the DFW area, and it's in a bit of a hot pocket right now. There's a lawsuit going on as far as the banning of Airbnb. So we basically what it is it's a 1 acre lot. It has a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house on the front side of the acreage, and then in the back it's a 4-car garage. And I used it for my photography studio. And so what we did is we split it up on 2 sides. And it's kind of a funny story how this happened, because I had my first Airbnb guest, which is some of the comments. She said that couch was like as hard as concrete. She said she sat down on it and had to go to a chiropractor afterwards. Yeah. Anyways, so the lady, she said she needed to stay longer. They were adopting a baby. And so I didn't have a place for her because somebody had already booked up behind her. And so I was like, well, all I have is my photography studio, and I've got an air mattress I could throw out there if you want to stay. And she was like, yeah, that's awesome. So I put it on there for her, and then she didn't actually end up needing it for the extra days. But before I knew it, someone actually booked it, the air mattress on the floor, for $45 a night. And I was like, dang, this is awesome, until the air mattress got a leak. And then the guy called me. He's like, hey, you think I can get another air mattress? So, yeah, it's kind of funny how I got my start. We've come a long way since then.
Yeah, literally Airbnb, like how
Exactly. I didn't know that was unusual. Yeah.
That is cool. And so you turned the 4-car garage into like a fully functioning unit?
Well, we actually had it as a mother-in-law unit. We'd built it for our parents years ago, so they would come and visit Texas, but they hardly ever did. But anyway, so I used it for, at one point my cousin was staying there, and it's just a great little living space. It has a bathroom on each side. So it's studios with a like miniature kitchen on each side and a bathroom on each side.
Nice. And so that you obviously you told me your numbers before. You're kicking some ass over there, and how did that propel you to your next phase of your business? How can you tell how much you were making on those 2 units?
Sure. On those 3 units, we averaged $10,000 a month, so about $120 a year.
Wow.
Woo!
Yeah.
Man, see, that is why you get into this business, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You get into this business. Wow, that's crazy. So, because like you were one thing, because I'm a systems guy. I'm a huge automation guy. So, with you still having that human aspect, have you been thinking about possibly offsetting that to like a virtual assistant or anything?
I'm actually thinking about a virtual assistant. I've tried a couple of different services like Guestie, and honestly, yeah, I don't like Guestie. I don't know if that's not good to say, but yeah. We have automation set in place right now, and it's good. And sometimes you get a little too comfortable and somebody's asking you a question and you don't actually check it. And then they're finally like, are you really going to answer my question? And I'm like, whoa, wait a second. Sorry. So sometimes the systems get a little bit, you kind of sit back on your laurels.
Okay. Yeah. And as I was asking earlier, like, so from that 10,000 a month experience, you decided to grow your business. And what was the next step in growing your business?
Well, it was a natural progression because we're part of some investor groups. And so when people started seeing the success that we were having, they started asking questions, and some of them asked if I could help them. And so we ended up doing our first one out in Arizona. And so we flew out there, set the entire thing up in like 5 days. We had a budget in place, got it all set up. And literally we had our first booking by the time I got on the airplane. So that was we've never done anything less than $6,000 in the very first month, no matter what property we've touched.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm giving you all my properties right now.
So, I mean, we started with that one. We had a lot of success. And then we're actually national speakers. We speak at REI Black Book out in Missouri. And so we have another investor that's hired us for the Florida properties, and we started that 3 months ago, and I think we're up to 42,000 we've raised on 2 properties in the last 3 months.
Jeez.
So we're going to do, I think we're getting to 16,000 just this month off of just their properties in Florida.
Wow. So what do you charge? What's your fee for managing?
For setup for 3-2, so 3-bedroom, 2-bath, we charge $5,000 for the setup. We ask that the investor, they're going to pay between $5,000 and $7,000 for the furnishings and everything that goes inside of an Airbnb. Basically what that includes is we come in, the investor doesn't lift their finger at all. They just write the check. So we show up, we order everything, my team gets in there, we do all the decorating, do the photography, get your listing set up, and we're in business in less than 7 days.
Wow. And that's all you charge? You hand it off to them after management?
Well, after that I do a maintenance, or basically a management fee, and that fee is 20% of all the bookings. And that includes taking care of your hospitality team, hiring your team, making sure you have handymen, making sure all the inventory is done. And basically, it's just turnkey.
What tools do you use to find like handymen?
I use a lot of Facebook Marketplace this way, and I get recommendations from local moms groups because those moms are pretty picky.
Oh, yeah. My wife used to be in those moms groups. All types of stuff goes down in there.
Oh, yeah. Good and bad.
Yeah. Wow. So you're automated and you help them set up. So it's pretty much turnkey for the investor.
It is turnkey.
Okay.
Now the 20% of the bookings. So that let's say so you're going to get paid first before all the fees and stuff.
I forgot to mention that.
Everything.
Yeah, so basically what happens is we don't like our investors to have to come out of pocket for a lot of money up front because they're already taking care of the property, the house payment or the rent, plus they're going to have to buy all the furnishings. So the $5,000 that we charge, we do not charge that up front. If you don't make money, we don't make money. So basically that just comes out of that first month's earnings. And we don't sign up for any properties that we don't know. For the most part, it's an investment. There's risk involved, but we pretty much know how our property is going to do before we pick it up.
And what tools are you using to measure how much a property is going to make? RDNA or self?
I'll look at all different factors, but we have a way of comping the properties, and it's a little more time intensive, but we basically go through the property, the address, we look at the comparables and look at reviews and whether or not the address is hot or whether it's in a dead zone.
Mm-hmm.
So
what would you classify as a dead zone?
Dead zone it's somewhere where people are not frequenting. So you have to be next to somewhere where there's corporate training or an airport or a convention center. For instance, we have a property out in Justin, Texas. I don't know if you know where Justin is, but it's in between Denton and the racetrack. And it's not a dead zone. It's still cash flows, but it's not a very popular area. And there's a pricing tool that we use called Wheelhouse. And so if you put an address in Wheelhouse and they don't service it, most likely it's a dead zone.
Wow.
That's a little trick I use.
Nice.
Well, I'm going to write that one down.
Real quick, do you know if DeSoto is a dead zone?
I don't know. I'd actually have to look it up. So you'd be surprised. Honestly, when I first started this, my investor group, I'm part of a mentor group, and I told them what I was thinking about doing, and I about got shouted out of the room. They're like, forget it. It's going to be too much work. It's never going to work. This was like 4 years ago, and I'm like, I don't listen very well. I don't like being told what to do. So I was like, I'm going to give this a shot. And so, what have I got to lose? My house is going to be in great condition. I have cleaners in there every 3 or 4 days. I fix everything as soon as it gets broken. It's awesome.
Oh, that's sweet. So you mostly just set up, or you've been setting up for investors. You haven't really started cold calling and started, hitting up people that are renting just regular houses anywhere and trying to get them to do it.
What I do is I think the investors are a little easier. It's like low-hanging fruit because they don't want to have to deal with a renter that is, they've got bad credit, they got kids, they've got dogs. I mean, they're basically in your house all the time. So we just talk to investors. They see what kind of success we're having and they want a piece of it.
Nice. And where do you find your investors?
Well, like I said, we're national speakers. So after our event at REI Black Book, we've been approached by several investors, and we're looking to expand in the DFW area. So we're going to start going to some of the RIAs and advertising.
Cool. That's awesome. And so what piqued my interest earlier, you said something about you did like a virtual setup and a virtual critique. And how does that work?
Well, it's not my favorite thing to do because basically what happens is somebody else does the setup and then I have to go in and tell them, basically critique them and let them know what they need to do differently in order to have success. And part of myself and my team managing a property is we have to know that this host, that property is up to the quality that we're willing to manage. And so, for instance, with this investor, he set the whole place up. He got a photographer, and it was a very difficult conversation because I basically had to tell him all the things that he didn't do correctly, and I wasn't sure how he was going to receive it. But basically, we kind of tore apart what he did, and I hired a different photographer. And when he saw the difference, he was shocked. He was like, "Wow, that is," because there's just so much that I've learned over the 4 years, and I just know what works and what doesn't work at this point after hosting for over 10,000 people.
So what kind of things what glaring issues did he have when he tried to set it up?
Well, he's a bachelor, kind of like he set it up like a bachelor pad. And so, I mean, that would work for some guys, but that's not going to work for families or, traveling women. It was just a bachelor pad. And so basically we had to put like a feminine touch, a little more stylish, put in some fashionable furnishings, stuff like that. I mean, the pool table was great, but we need a little bit all around it. So he was kind of building his house around the pool table and some posters.
Yeah, man cave.
Yeah.
That's cool. And so one thing I was going to ask you, because I've had conversations with you before, and yeah, you're growing like crazy, and that's awesome. But you do have some like very stressful moments, and how do you cope with that, and what brings that on?
Okay. Well, I think experience, actually. Experience, I mean, when I first started, I would freak out over the smallest thing. If a guest wasn't happy, it would definitely, I'm a pleaser. I like to make people happy. And so I've learned to automate my systems. I've also learned that I'm absolutely not going to please everybody. That was a hard one to swallow because some people you just can't make them happy, and then other times I make a mistake and I have to humble myself and just be like, look, I messed up. Can I get you a pizza? Can I send over a bottle of wine? Do I need to compensate you a free night? I do whatever it takes to make my guests happy, even when I make a mistake. But regardless, sometimes you just are not going to win, and then you need to know when to not fight those battles.
Send you over pizza. I'm writing that one down.
And you used to do all your cleanings yourself, right?
Yeah, I used to until I realized that it's a lot of work. It's backbreaking, and I'm not very good at it. So, I mean, I thought I was good, but then I hired the professionals, and that's all they do all day long. And they're actually a little better at all the details than I am.
And how much stress was lifted off your back after you started outsourcing that?
Oh man, a lot of stress goes away, and just know and we have our system set up now that I don't even worry about if they're not going to show up or anything like that, because we have our teams in place and we have meetings and schedules, and I don't do any of that. It's all automated.
Nice. And so you just got done, you were sending me pictures earlier, you just got done setting up a unit in Dallas?
Yes.
And so how did that go?
Well, it was actually our personal property. So we started back in November, and we expected to be done in the first month because we were told by a contractor that he'd be done in about a month, which was our first lesson. Apparently, rehabs take 3 to 4 months. And so we just finished. It cost double what we thought it was going to cost. Yeah, that was a little hard to swallow. But we got all this furniture and all these decorations. We bought them all at one time. So word kind of got out that I buy furniture because that's, yeah, I don't do it this way anymore, just so you know. I used to run around on Facebook and get all these deals, and I realized how much time I was wasting. But this particular property, we literally went in and bought this lady's furniture, everything. We got a 24-foot U-Haul and a flatbed trailer, and we emptied out our entire house for one price. And so we put it into this house. So it made it really easy to decorate.
Oh, that's cool. And so how do you usually get your furniture now besides something like that?
So the way we're doing it now, because we realized that we were wasting a lot of time and also buying products that weren't necessarily that fantastic. So now we're doing rooms to go or furniture settings like that, where you just walk in, order it, it's done, it gets delivered to the house, gets assembled, and we can really, we can speed up the process, which is money. Every single day that goes by, I'm losing $100 to $200 a day.
I love how you look at it like that. When you told me about that, you're losing money every day it's not set up, and so it's more about speed than about going out there and being choosy about and trying to find the best deal and save $50, right?
Oh man, I wasted so much time and so much money. I would end up buying stuff that was broken, and yeah, I'm not doing that anymore.
And so the rooms to go thing, that was pretty cool too. Explain that to me.
So rooms to go are great because it takes a lot of the thinking out of the process. A guy can do this who has absolutely no sense of design. Just walk in and be like, yeah, I want that room. And basically they put it all together. And you can also they usually have these great deals. I think it's between 5 and 7 years of 0% interest. So if you think about it, you can get into your property much lower if you have the appropriate credit. And you also have to know that you're going to be able to pay for that within the time period they give you. The biggest mistake people make on those 0% interest things is that they don't pay it. And what happens is all the interest is retroactive and it hits you at the end. So you got to make sure you actually can pay it. I usually schedule it to be paid 6 months ahead of time.
Oh, before it expires?
Yeah, just in case.
Oh, nice. Because I glanced at it and I don't know if they do that now, but it was saying something like you had to like break it up into equal payments until it's paid off.
Yeah, you definitely have to make payments. It's not like you could just go 6 years without, or 7 years or whatever they're offering. But it basically gives you 0% interest until their time period is up. So you're paying payments, you're just not paying for interest.
So listen to this. I want our fans to hear this because this sounds pretty cool. You could theoretically hit up Cammie, and then say, hey, I want to set up my house as an Airbnb, and she can come in there. She'll do all the work, and she'll, you charge her fee. Of course, you got to get paid. Nothing's free in life. So $5,000, she'll do your whole house. Of course, you got to pay for the furniture and stuff. And so you could put all that furniture on 5 to 7 year no interest rooms to go thing, and so you don't have to pay that either. So you can get set up, and then plus the $5,000 that you're paying Cammie, you get to spread that out and and you pay her as you profit, so that you can get set up like immediately going, and then she can even run it for you. That's pretty. That freaking blows my mind. Like almost starting off paying zero. That's insane.
Yeah, and you got to remember that you're using your investment vehicle to make money. There's always risk. But the cool thing about my fees is that I'm pretty much taking all the risk. So I get paid in that first month and or 2 months at the very latest. It's never gone that long. But you start profiting probably in the third or fourth month, even if you were to pay everything off. So it's depending on what your insurance is and your overhead for your property, if you own it, rent it, stuff like that.
And you're so confident in your skills that, like you had mentioned, you had a client that wanted to run it himself, and his numbers, and he showed you his numbers, and you said you can make like 3 times that.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny because he came to me about 6 months ago and he wanted to see what we offered, and he thought we were kind of expensive. And so I was like, okay, that's cool. Just give me a call if you need some help. And so he didn't call me, I think, because I guess he just didn't feel it was right not to hire me, but still call me and ask for questions. But he got himself in a little bit of an emergency, and one of the guests were very unhappy. And so he called me to kind of see if he could help him out of this jam. And so we started discussing, what to do in that situation. And I said, hey, how's your numbers? And he's like, oh, we lost money in November. I'm like, you lost money? And he's like, yeah, like just 500. And he goes, but we broke even in December, January, we actually made 500. I'm like, 1,000 or $500? And he's like, yeah, $500. I'm like, no way, Jordan. And so, anyways, we looked at his property, and he should be making about 2,000 at the least, and especially in December, he should have made like 5,000. So those properties are going to go under management with us soon, because people just don't realize how much money they be leaving on the table by not having the expertise.
Yep. Smart. So okay, you charge 5,000 for setup. For a typical 3-2, what's your going furnishing costs?
Between 5,000 and 7,000. That's everything. That's sheets, towels, silverware.
No matter what market, right?
Well, I mean, Alaska, it's going to cost a lot more, but I mean.
Well, the markets you're in.
Yeah. So we basically buy everything on Amazon or Costco. So we kind of have a sheet of our orders. Basically, I just give it to my team. I'm like, hey, order me this setup for a 3-2.
Wow. That is system. I love that.
So see, on that note, I want to ask Myka, because you've always been trying to 100% automate everything. Wouldn't that be a way for you to 100% just give it to Cammie and let her do all the work?
Yeah. That would be a way. Definitely.
Then you can just focus on getting more units and giving them to her.
No kidding. That sounds like a deal.
That is true.
So I wanted to ask, because you have something cool. You have an actual real life assistant. How did that happen?
An assistant?
Yeah.
Israel? Oh man, I couldn't do it all by myself. First of all, I'm a creative, so I am all over the place. I will get to the end, but it's going to be like a long, squirrely road. So Israel, he came in about 4 months ago, and he's really tried to keep me on the straight and narrow, which is hard. So his job is very difficult. But I'm the visionary. He implements everything. So he's like, okay, I'll tell him like 5 or 6 ideas, and he's like, okay, one of those are good. And I'm like, no, they're all good. He's like, okay, no, we're gonna do one. And so so we brought him on board, and he's helping us expand.
How'd you meet your assistant?
Well, he kind of dates my daughter.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh.
Now, you say dates like they're just dating, they're not married or nothing. So what happens if they broke up? You'd still be your assistant?
Actually, we talked about that. So in our employee contract or independent contractor, we actually talked about all the things that could happen. And I mean, it is really risky working with somebody that's involved with your family, but we work through all of those situations ahead of time just to kind of, worst case scenario. But so far, we've really enjoyed working together.
That's really smart. I never thought about that. Like, hey, we got a compensation plan just in case things get a little rocky. I like that. Smart idea.
So, you consider yourself more like a hands-on, like I would say, hands-on manager or something like that. Do you have to how do you stop yourself from micromanaging?
Well, I'm not a micromanager. Once I hire my people and I realize that they're trained and they're expert in what they do, I actually back off. I don't have time to be micromanaging. I have my systems. I hire the people that fit in my systems. And if it turns out that somebody that I've hired doesn't work with my system, then my motto is we hire slow and we fire fast. So we don't screw around if you're not going to work in our systems.
And I like that. Straight to the point.
Yeah.
Like
And so where do you get your cleaners?
We actually got our cleaners locally here from Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
So I think we kind of got lucky because the first person that I contacted, and there is some funny stories about that because at first our cleaning team, they were very frustrated with me. And Israel gets frustrated with me also because oftentimes I'll change my mind how I want things done. And so that's the beauty of Israel. He's coming in, he's making manuals for our hospitality team, and he reminds me that that's not how I said to do it. And so we actually have a book. But our hospitality team that I first hired, they got to the point that they were ready to quit. And it was kind of interesting because I was getting so frustrated that I was like, okay, I walked in, I was going to fire my cleaner. Her name is Vanessa. She's the head of hospitality here in Dallas. And I told her, I said, look, I don't think this is working. I think it's best if we just part ways. And she said, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. And we both just looked at each other and we just started laughing hysterically because it was like, are you serious? Like, we both, almost the same words came out of our mouth. We were firing each other. And then we just started laughing. And we're like, okay, what's really the problem here? And so she told me what her needs were, and I told her what mine were. And we worked together. We've been together now for 4 years. And somebody texted me and said that, there's something dirty. No way. I know it's not dirty. I know that there is a guest. One, there might have been a mistake, but most of the time it's because somebody's making something up. And they want a free stay or they want something. Because my team they make mistakes here and there, but they're never going to leave something dirty.
See, I like how you use that. That's like the power of communication right there. You almost fired someone who was really good. Instead, you guys sat there and talked about it, and you realized it wasn't worth it. I've had some of those moments, so yeah.
Yeah, you really got to trust your people. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really know that in the beginning because I was micromanaging, but I think I cured myself of micromanaging by getting too busy. I don't have time for it.
Yeah, that's how I am. I have a really good VA, and I do not micromanage them. Like, once I send them all the training videos, I don't even have to look at and see if stuff's done anymore. It's just like what you said with your cleaners. It's done. So, yeah, it's good if you have a good team. That's like the best thing you can ask for.
Hey, does that VA need more work?
Does that what?
Does your VA need more work? Like, I'm definitely looking for somebody to take over the human aspect of this.
Does he need more work?
Yeah.
Well, he's in the Philippines. So if this has been my issue with having people who are in the Philippines take on the communication side. When guests usually hit you up about a problem, in the Philippines, they're usually asleep. So that's been my problem.
Oh, well, what do you mean? Give me an example.
Okay, so because of the time difference, most of my places, the only place he could probably really manage for me is my places over in Fiji. So if they have a problem over there, he's on that side. He can manage it. So something like, okay, I have a place in Arkansas. If they send him something, let's say right at check-in, like they check in at 4 o'clock, 4 hours ago. I think the time difference, he's probably in bed,
Okay.
So that's been a problem. So what I'm trying to do is he's actually working to get more people hired under him, so where he can have a call center of his own, and I just contract straight with him, and then he just assigns it to people under him. So if you do go over there for like that type of where you want people to handle the communication, definitely see if you can get someone with a team behind them.
Yeah, that's definitely what we would be looking at. And you also need to look at your time zones and see if you can get people to manage the times when you're sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think Italy, I'm not sure. No, not Italy. It was Israel is a good time zone.
That's exactly where Guestie is too.
Yep.
in that, but they that 1%, I wasn't feeling it. I'm like,
1%. They charge way more than that. They charge a
Really?
lot.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were charging me 1%, but I gave them a
Well,
bulk of listings. But yeah, how much are they charging now?
I don't want to quote it because the last time I looked at it, all I know is I was like, no way, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it's they have good service, kind of, but they promise you stuff and never deliver on it, and it's like,
Well, and just the setup. I mean, it's like flying an airplane. You got to go in and learn their system, and it's like I tried twice and then I quit, and I'm just like, it was a lot of work.
if
for me.
Guestie, if you're listening right now, we're not dogging you. We're just saying.
Hey, man,
If you want to give us money, that's fine.
hey, if they want to make their systems easier that work for the average Joe, I'm all for it. But right now, it's not there.
Yeah, because I was able to, like, on their messaging side, I was literally able to take all my listings, put them over on SmartBNB, and within a day, done.
Yeah, I'm on SmartBNB right now.
See, and that's what I mean. It should be that easy, you know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, SmartBNB is not easy either. You have to know your systems. You got to have your messaging. I mean, when you have 14 listings and I have them on Airbnb and VRBO, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work on the front end. And that's actually something that we're looking into, selling our templates, so that even if somebody doesn't want us to manage or set up, that we'll go in and we will sell our template. So basically, you just take what we do, put your address, put a little bit of whatever, your special sauce on it, and we've done all the work for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's smart. That's smart. Because, yeah, the one thing that made me fall in love with SmartBNB is once they got integrated with HomeAway, I knew for a fact that was a game changer. So, yeah, if you guys want a messaging system, definitely look at SmartBNB and their auto IQ responses. I love those as well.
Yeah, I got a referral code I can recommend. SmartBNB is really cool because they actually give whoever refers 25% of what is of a person's lead.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do any other advertising besides inside referrals.
Yeah, we got to get Adrian on. I mean, is his name Adrian? Pierre Camille? I think we got to get him on.
Now, I asked earlier, how do you find your cleaners? But have you heard of TurnoverBnB?
I have heard of TurnoverBnB. I looked into it, and I didn't really like I don't like the fees that they charge, and I also don't like the fact that you have to use their cleaners. I like their system, but you have to use their network of cleaners. And when I went to go pay them, they were charging a pretty high fee. I used Zell to pay all my team members. This way, there's no charges to do that. And I think they were charging like 4% just to pay your cleaners.
Oh, they've changed it now. You can use your own cleaners. But they charge a flat fee, like, hey, you pay like $72 for the year. So if you break
really?
Mm-hmm.
I got to circle back and look at that.
Yeah, because my cleaner's out in Arkansas. I onboard all of them on there, and then I have them go from there. So, yeah, definitely check it out.
Because it's awesome because it links them to your Airbnb calendar. So they don't even need you to call them or send them a message or whatever you do and say, hey, you need to turn, or even sit there and try to match it all up on there, whatever they use. It just it sends them a message. It says when the checkout happened, and they go in there and do their thing. And I mean, you don't have to do anything. That's why I like it.
Yeah, well, we do that with SmartBNB. We set them up with their own account, with their own calendar. They get a text message, they get an email, and they get a reminder. Like, I think it's like 2 hours before, and be like, hey, don't forget to show up.
That's awesome too. Yeah, I just had a lot of luck with that TurnoverBnB. We even interviewed the CEO, and he lives out there in Hawaii. But it was a pretty cool interview. What I like you said, it charges them a fee, right? Like 4% of if they're cleaning.
I don't know. I don't remember. I'm bad with numbers when
it's like 3% if you use their cleaners and pay them through the app. That was one thing that was pushing me away, and then I realized, I can just pay a flat fee for the year and just onboard a cleaner. I was more lenient with it. I was like, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll definitely take a look. But that's different cleaners all the time, right?
You can lock one in. You can lock one in.
Yeah.
So that's what happened with me. I found a cleaner that I really liked. I mean, she did an awesome job. And so it goes if you give her like a 5-star like review right away, because that's what's cool about it too, because they're reviewed and you can see if who's good or who's bad, and you give them a 5-star review right away, they automatically have first dibs at all your cleanings that you post. And so I told her, I said, are they taking money from your? Oh, they take a little bit. I was like, well, I could pay you. I could Zell you the money, or I could do whatever and pay you, outside the system if you want. She goes, oh, you know what? Let's just leave it in the system, because I like how their calendar works. It lets me know when everything's going on, and it keeps everything balanced for me, because she does other cleanings too. So she turned down like extra money she could have got just to stay in their system and get in, so it'd be more organized. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool. So one of the things we do with our hospitality team is we have laminated checklists at every one of our listings. And because it's so easy to forget things, especially when you have like 3 bathrooms or, basically they have to go get that checklist and they have to go through each one of them and make sure they check it off before they leave. And that's really helped us cut back on any sort of human error.
One more cool thing that you mentioned, checklists. You set up your checklist on TurnoverBnB, so any cleaner that grabs the job, it gets emailed your checklist, and she can,
And you can steal other people's checklists.
Exactly. That's awesome.
I'm sorry.
It sounds like a commercial for Turnover, but that's, I'm not a rock star Airbnb like you. I think you laughed at my numbers one time, but
no, I never did. No, I knew I could help you. That's all.
Yeah, because. How did you hit me up? How did we?
I think you saw me on one of the forums or something, and then you called me and like talked to me for hours on end. And I kept telling you how busy I was. I'm like, dude, I gotta go.
No. I think that was reverse. I think you found a listing I had on. I swear, it's in my mind like this. My Hearst house. I swear, I put a listing. And I put it on Craigslist. And
I critiqued it. You remember?
Yeah. And you said, yeah, you critiqued it. You throw away grandma's furniture already.
Oh, gosh.
And I made good money. I thought I made
Did you paint those paintings on the wall?
No, a buddy of mine did.
Okay.
It's Art House Hearst, man. That was the shit. But
So let me get this. Let me get it. Steve asked you a bunch of questions. You answered them, and Steve didn't implement anything.
No, but he still made money.
I made money.
But he left a lot on the table.
Yeah, I did. I left a lot on the table. I was juggling, a new baby and, new marriage and whatever. I'm just,
yeah. Just think if you would have hired me back then.
But I saw the error in my way. I thought about it and I said, hey, do you still want to, I moved on to another thing now. And you were like on like 500 new projects. And so you kind of said, yeah, I really don't want to run your crappy house. It's not like that. You didn't say it like that. But you said you didn't have time. You told me you politely said you didn't have time to run it for me. And anyways, the next, few months later, Hearst bans it anyway. So whatever. And, Hearst banned it, my other one in Arlington banned Airbnb, and it's just been a domino effect, man. And so, yeah, all about that.
Yeah, we just lost a pretty big property, the $10,000 a month property. We just got shut down. So we're kind of waiting to see what happens with a neighboring city that's in the middle of the litigation right now. So, yeah, it's devastating when that happens. It hurts.
Okay.
But what's that?
Okay. And was this in Texas, the state of Texas?
Oh, yeah. Not far from where you are.
I wasn't going to mention this yet, but there is a new thing called strshield.com. Someone brought them to me, and they're like, if you want to be protected by your, by local laws or whatever, they'll help you put properties under LLCs so it's protected against city fines. I haven't done it yet, but it was just sent to me. So I want everyone to check that out. People in Texas, I really think the only way to get around those bans is we're going to have to write letters to wherever your Airbnb is. You're going to have to write a letter to whoever's sitting in the Senate seat for that area, because the state already says it's legal. So that's pretty much the only way I would see, because you're going to have to get them to do what they did to Austin. So, yeah.
Yeah. So actually, when we we're having a little trouble with this property that we're going to lose quite a bit of money on. So we actually consulted with our attorney, and it's the same attorney that's actually fighting the Grapevine lawsuit. And so they basically said that the laws that these cities are making are unconstitutional. And not only are they unconstitutional, but they're also discriminatory. They discriminate between a 30-day rental versus anything under 30 days. You're basically doing the same exact thing. It's just a different time period, which is discriminating. Mm-hmm. So we are considering whether or not we're going to move forward and test the law and actually bring forth a lawsuit.
What headway is the one in Grapevine? What is he making? Is he making headway?
Right now, they're I think it's the Second Court of Appeals in Fort Worth. I'm not sure on that, but I don't even know if there's a court date set. But the cool thing is, the owners that brought the lawsuit, they're in an injunction, so they're able to operate right now legally. And that's what we're kind of hoping we could jump on.
I think Arlington got just straight denied, right?
Yeah.
They didn't ban it, though. The difference is Arlington, the way they did it is they actually offered up an option to the people within a certain range. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the difference between Grapevine and Arlington and Austin.
Yeah, because Arlington shut down, I think, probably 80% of the city?
Probably 90%.
Huh?
Only 1 mile of the city can do Airbnb.
Yeah, so about 80% of the city got shut, and then...
Well, they're still complaining. Did you see the news just about 2 days ago? They did a story on Arlington Airbnbs, the ones that are actually legal. And it was a very negative story. They had one person say, well, I don't care what they do with their property. They should be able to do what they want to. But yeah, that was just running on CBS News like 3 nights ago.
I can believe it. Wow.
Rich people paying a lot of money to give Airbnb a bad name.
Yeah, unfortunately, there are those hosts out there. You got to admit, it would not be fun to live next to a house where there's a host who is out of state or they just let people party there. That's not cool.
Yeah, because that's how Arlington got banned. One bad apple.
Yeah.
Party house. But that's what kind of made me mad. I'm like, well, hold on. You're going to shut down 300 plus Airbnbs because of one person? But I ain't gonna lie, I probably wouldn't want to live next to an Airbnb. So I understood those people's complaints, but it gets one bad apple. So
now, why wouldn't you want to live next to an Airbnb?
A poorly ran Airbnb, probably, you mean?
Probably.
Or one at all?
Not me. I probably wouldn't want to.
Why?
Just in general, traffic in and out, I wouldn't want to, but that's just me.
So, well, let's talk about that just a little bit, because we're actually proposing something right now in our city. We're trying to turn our property out in Argyle into a wedding venue. And so one of the opposition that we get is the stranger danger, and that we're bringing strangers into the neighborhood. Well, okay, what happens if your neighbor has some guests over? You don't know them, okay? Or what about across the street? We have a business complex. They're bringing in strangers. So, I mean, people need to get over the idea of different people coming into your neighborhood. It's not like you know what your neighbor's doing. I mean, you got the Unabomber sometimes next door. You don't even know. So
true. Yeah, my current neighbors are good weed smoking Americans, though. But, I don't know. But I don't know. It's just mine's not really the stranger danger. It's just more of the traffic. It might be just because of where I'm at.
See, like traffic, that's weird for me. Most of my people use Uber. Like I don't even see their car. Yeah, we rarely even have cars in the driveway.
Yeah, mine always has cars. Mine always has cars.
Well, they need to clean their garage out so people can park in the garage.
Yeah, that's smart. If you can get those cars hidden, it's best. Then the neighbor next door who doesn't have anything to do isn't got her binocs out.
And it's weird. Like most hosts that I talk to, they don't like their guests using the garage. I'm like, I offer the garage all the time if it's available. I don't know what that
Well,
is.
my garage, it used to be full of all the Facebook crap that I bought, the marketplace. But now that Israel's on board, he doesn't let me stockpile like I used to.
Wow.
So now I actually have a garage people use.
Oh, nice. Nice. Man, I was going to ask a really good question. I just fell out of my head. So, okay. Oh, yeah. It's funny. We talk about who we want to live next to and all that stuff, which, you're buying a house. You're not buying the whole neighborhood, right? So, I mean, who are you going to say who can live, who can live next to you, stuff like that. But anyways, on that note, a friend from one of the Airbnb groups posted something. She always posted stuff about our liberties being violated by them shutting down Airbnb, stuff like that, and it's cool. She posted something the other day though, saying that she pointed out some law in California where in certain cities where they're not letting you work on your own car in your garage anymore.
Oh man.
And she's saying, yeah, it's overstepping and this and that, and I agree in the most part. But they said you could do just basic kind of things on your car. You can't switch engines out or whatever. But anyways, I was like, I agree with our liberties shouldn't be violated, stuff like that. But on that note, I also see the other side a little bit because I lived in a spot one time where the neighbors directly in front of me, it was just a bunch of dudes that had old cars that they were always out there with the metal music or the hardcore rap and just drinking all freaking day, garage open, with working on these piece of crap cars. And I didn't like that either. But really, there's nothing they can do about it. They can work on their cars on their driveway or in their garage. It just
You can live in an HOA. If you want that kind of restriction, live in an HOA. Personally, I live on 7 acres. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. I don't want to see people's crap. I don't want to smell their smoke. I don't want to listen to their dogs bark. But that's basically what I choose. But if you want to control how other people live, then you got to pick a property that's farther away from people.
That I do agree with if you want that. See, me, I don't mind I guess I could live next to an Airbnb. I mean,
Where do you live?
South side of Arlington. Almost.
Oh, man, I already have a place right next to you. Just kidding.
Oh, I was like, no, not these people. My neighbors, they're
yeah, you don't know. You don't know what's going on.
I would know I'm the only Airbnb on the block because when I used to Airbnb over here, my neighbors actually, if they had family coming to town, they come knock on my door and be like, "Hey, is your upstairs available?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, so." And they hook them up with my Airbnb listing. But yeah, I mean,
I wanted to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I guess I probably wouldn't mind it. They might bring in some fun. But what were you saying?
Oh, I was going to mention something that you had talked about, the LLC and the fines. When we consulted with the attorney, one thing that we did find out is that when you have a fine against an LLC, you need to have a lawyer or an attorney present with you in court. You cannot represent an LLC. So that's one of the reasons why we took one of our properties out of the LLC and put it in my personal name so that when I go in there, I can defend myself for the most of the part. I can go all the way through my appeals process without an attorney. But if you have an LLC, it could get very expensive because you cannot represent yourself. You have to have an attorney for an LLC.
Ooh, that's a good way to think about it.
You start thinking now.
But if they racked up all the fines, could you not pay the fines?
Well, I mean, most of the time at LLC, unless you're hiding in Wyoming or something like that, which some people do, eventually they're going to find you. And you're going to be liable for those fees or fines. Unless you're really, really sneaky. But I don't know. I'd rather just, be accountable for whatever. If you're,
But I guess I see it like this. There's so much money to be made on the up and up. Why risk doing all that stuff, right? Getting fined and everything.
It's not a good feeling to be operating underground. I've been doing it for quite a while, and it's not really. It's just you wake up every day and you think, okay, is this my last day? And it's not a good feeling.
Do you want to tell the story how you were discovered?
Well, okay, yeah, I will tell the story. Okay, so basically what happened was I had this awesome deal with an insurance company. A realtor had contacted me through Airbnb and said that she had a client and they needed a place to live for 3 months. And so I worked with the realtor outside of Airbnb, and it turns out that it's a company called ALE. ALE is a third-party housing. They find housing for their insured. So when I talked to the ALE, basically the middleman between the insured and the insurance company, I was able to negotiate a killer contract. So on this one 3-bedroom, 3-bed, 2-bath house, I got $10,000 a month. Yeah, it was sweet. It was one of my best. So whose internet's unstable? Mine? It's sorry, I got a little message saying it was unstable. So anyways, $10,000 a month for 3 months guaranteed. And on top of that, okay, this is a real kicker. I'm very good at negotiating. I ask them for all the money up front. And so I got it. I got this giant check like day one. And I actually posted it on one of the Facebook groups for Airbnb, and they suspended my account because they thought I was lying. And I was like, okay, I was just trying to help people and show them like what I did. And so I got taken off the professional Airbnb host for, I don't know, a little while. They let me back on, but people were so mad because I did a Facebook Live and I was showing them the check, and people were just like, "You're full of it. This is bogus. This doesn't happen." And I'm like, okay, I'm going to cash the check now. And so anyways, so this guy, he gets into my house, and I should have known better because anytime I have somebody who stays more than about a week, they begin to get on my nerves. Do you guys have that experience?
Yeah, they kind of get picky, start asking.
Yeah, it's
stuff.
like they notice the little squeak in the floor or the cabinet squeak. They start asking you to fix stuff. And if someone's just staying for 2 or 3 days, they don't care. They're like, whatever. So this person, he ends up being an absolute nightmare. Like, I am a puppet on his string. He's just awful. And the thing is like, he knows a very important person in the city that I'm in. And so he held that over my head. So basically I had to do every single thing he told me to do. And then he still turned me in. Yeah, he posted my address and my name on Facebook in front of 1.5 million of my neighbors. Ouch.
Wow.
Yeah, and his accusations were just ridiculous. So anyways, but
he was stuffing your toilet and making it flood.
Yeah, he did. There was a lot of stuff, but we won't get into too many details. He's gonna get his, Wow. Just the way it is.
But you made 30,000, right?
Oh yeah, but think how much it cost me. $120 a year.
Oh.
So yeah, I honestly, if I had it to do over again, I would have played a lot nicer. Because I got to the point where I got tired of being told what to do, and so I pushed back a little bit, and I think that was a very costly mistake.
Yeah,
so
I push back all the time.
Well,
I gotta stop though.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's like with Airbnb guests and stuff, like sometimes I've made some critical mistakes. Like, for instance, we had some guests who overstayed, and my hospitality team was driving around for an hour waiting for them to leave. So I got a little hot under the collar because I don't like it when my people are affected by other people's mistakes. And so I let them know they need to leave, and they still didn't leave. So I went over to the house, knocked on the door. I was very, very polite. We have Ring cameras, and I was very intentional how I spoke to this guest. But they got all upset, accused me of discrimination and all kinds of stuff. And they ended up paying double the nightly fee because that's what Airbnb does when you overstay. But they left me a 1-star review, all caps, worst host ever, and basically took one of our listings from being a 5-star down to like a 4.3. And so it's taken me that happened like 4 months ago. So it seems like one 1-star review, it takes like 50 5-star reviews to ever climb your way back out of the hole. So oftentimes what I'll do, if the listing's fairly new and that 1 star is affecting me, I'll literally start another listing up, exact same listing, and I'll end up deleting the old one.
Yeah, that's what I do too. Duplicate it and move on. Yeah, because
There's a little trick though. I bring my reviews with me. Do you know how to do that?
How do you do that?
I take screenshots of the reviews and I put them in my pictures.
Okay, good idea.
So,
okay, that's
yeah.
a good idea.
So
Hey, y'all learning some stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet. So what are your future plans with Airbnb, short-term rentals, corporate rentals, whatever? What do you got in the books and the work?
Well, Dallas is right now is Airbnb friendly. So we are looking at investing more in Dallas. We just bought one, finished it up, getting ready to open it, I think, this weekend. So one of the things that we always do with our listings that I think a lot of hosts kind of take this shortcut, and it's a big mistake. You should always stay in your listing a couple days before you actually give it out to guests, because there's just things that you're going to notice when you get in there that you're like, oh man, I didn't realize that, this was loose, or where's the paper towels, all these different things that when you actually live in it, you can really test it out and see what's missing. So our family is going to go spend the night in it, and we're going to actually cook a meal and make sure all the dishes are there and all that. So we should be opening on Monday. So that's what's that?
I was going to say that is a huge tip that I must miss over all the time. So yeah, definitely stay in your Airbnb.
Well, and if you can't do it, then what we do is we usually have a couple of our friends do it, and we have them book through Airbnb so that we can get the review. And but here's the thing: like, you got to make sure that person's a friend, because some people just aren't smart, and they well, I'll give you a 3-star. I thought it was pretty good. I'm like, you did what? I'm like, okay. Well, they were like, well, that's pretty good, right? No, it's not good. Oh gosh, yeah, you got to educate your friends, and we educate our guests. We let them know. I hit them up for 5-star review 5 times. When they inquire, we're here to give you a 5-star experience. When they book, oh, we're so excited to give you that 5-star experience. The next day, hey, I really hope you're enjoying your experience. Our goal is to give you a 5-star experience. We're like, some people have commented that we kind of like shove it down their throat, but we have 500 5-star reviews. And our reviews, we get like an 80% review. Most people get like 40. Mm-hmm. So
I have a checkout message for their 5-star review every time.
Well, we also explained to them what a 5-star review is in the house, because some people don't understand, and this is the one that makes me so mad. They give me a 1-star review for location. Dude, you picked it. Like, how could that be my fault?
Yeah, it's a couple of location, and the other one is
value.
Yes.
It's like, you picked the price. Yeah, it's
those
like,
are the 2 ones that Airbnb should kind of, I don't know what they should do with them, but it's kind of, location, I do have one that's kind of it's not in a bad neighborhood, but it's around the corner. So you have to go through the bad neighborhood to get to the good neighborhood. So I always get like a little risky on the location.
That's going to happen to me. My place is down in right next to Love Field. And if they come in off a Northwest Highway,
oh yeah,
it's going to be rough. So I'm going to actually send them a map and tell them the preferred way to get in. And I'll be like, don't listen to Google Maps, because I'm going to send them in the right way. But our home is next to $1 million houses, but 2 blocks over, it's rough.
Now, if they want to pick up some drink and some substances, they should listen to Google Maps, because that's where you want to get it.
Yeah, there's a lot of salty places over there on that road.
I'll tell you funny. We're talking about 1-star reviews, and I told you my thing. How City of Arlington found me, and they find me and this and that, and pretty much told me shut down, or we're going to keep finding you. And so I shut down, and I moved all my guests to my primary residence. And I talked to Airbnb. They helped me set it up. They told me just make it like a dummy listing kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
and move them over, and then just shut that one down, and and they'll both be off the books. So that even like the current city I live in, they won't see it either, whatever. And so I called everybody, one by one, told them the whole situation. I'm getting shut down. I could either, you're free to cancel, or I could put you up in my home here. It's only a few more minutes away from the stadiums or whatever. And so every single one of them agreed to it. And, I guess a little gratitude would be good, but whatever. I was moving from my own home to help these people out. Right. And so otherwise,
and your pocketbook too, though.
Well, I got paid exactly the same money though.
Oh,
yeah. They just transferred all their listings here, and they didn't have, they've already paid for them and stuff. So they were able to stay at my house, and it's a bigger house, 2-story, 5-bedroom. It's got a pool. Not, it's wintertime, they couldn't use it. But anyways, so they got to me, what I thought was a better deal, and so all of them left me 5-star reviews except for one woman, and she. And she, oh man, she complained about some stupid stuff, but and she left me a 1-star review, and I was like, and she left me like, a bad review on there, explained this and that, and I was like, and I kind of went off on her a little bit. I was like, listen,
oh no,
no, I know, whatever. I was like, well, I'm done Airbnb in
yeah,
here, whatever. I don't care anyways. So people are gonna see her thing. I don't know how that works, but so I left her thinking, I got out of my own home so y'all could have a spot. She only rented it for one day because she wanted to do like Christmas with her family. She was one of those.
Oh man, are you serious?
One of those. I let her say. I said I let her check in early. I let her leave late. It was just available. I just wanted to help I bent over backwards to give a great experience, and I got a 1-star review from it. And it's just some people you can't please no matter what. I could have just let her, okay, fend for yourself. Go find another spot last minute for Christmas. See what happens.
So we've learned something. No good deed goes unpunished. So instead of giving people things, like, for instance, if they say, could we get an early check-in? We really want to get in early. And I'll be like, absolutely, yes. We have a $35 upgrade fee. Would you like to take it? Oh yeah, we don't really want to get in early. Or the same thing with late checkout. I'm like, I don't say no anymore. I just say how much. So it's like, yeah, you want it? This is what you get. And once in a while we get somebody who pays the upgrade, but once in a while I get a review said $35 for 2 hours is ridiculous. I'm like, oh, okay. But they want it in early, so.
Yeah, any other business out there is going to charge you, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you go to Hilton or something and you want to get an early check-in, they're not going to guarantee it. Matter of fact, even if they give you a late check-in, you're not going to get anything for it. And the way it is with Airbnb is you get crucified if you're not ready. That's the first time you and I talked. You said you got a bad review because the cleaners weren't finished. Remember? It was when we first talked like 4 years ago.
Yeah, well, because someone left late. There was a late checkout, and that's another thing. I mean, that's kind of a hard one, because you want to tell the people, I'm going to charge you $50 for a late checkout. Even though but you're going to get a bad review for telling them that. How do you do that?
We spin it like it's an upgrade, and it's not like a punishment. It's like they choose. It's like, oh, absolutely, yes, you can definitely sign up for that upgrade if it's available. Let me check with my team and see. So
no. What about people? No, I'm talking about people that just taking their sweet ass time to leave, and they're not out of there on the time they're supposed to be out of there.
We've only had that happen once.
Okay, and how did you handle it?
Not well at all. Yeah, it just didn't go well, and I got screwed on my review, man. It was bad because they pissed me off, and I actually went right to, after being nice for so long, I was like, all right, I'm done. So I had Airbnb on the phone. I just handed them the phone, and I said, okay, you guys are going to get charged an overstay fee. So it was like an extra $300.
See, that's what I was going to tell you. You put a fee in there. If they stay over, put that fee in there. That's what you got.
Oh, I mean, that's in the Airbnb terms of services. It's in there.
How much is it?
An overstay. Mm-hmm.
Is it like a percentage of the?
No, it's double the nightly booking rate. Double.
Wow, well, I'm just learning that.
You have to go to the mat and you got to fight for it, but I'm pretty good at fighting.
How late do they have to check out? Is there a certain time frame?
I mean, I don't really screw around with somebody who's like that hour or something like that, but these girls were like 2 hours, and when I went to go talk to them, they gave me attitude, which in turn kind of turned my attitude around. But I got to learn to be better at that.
Yeah, I definitely outsourced all my customer service because I'm not good at that. But like, I know what you mean. I feel like I would charge a fee, especially if it affects the next guest coming in. I think you should definitely have a fee.
Oh yeah, because I mean, I got to buy them dinner. Like that's happened before. And I had this one guy, and I'm like, look, I'm really sorry. You know, somebody got out late, but how about I send you and your family out for dinner? And actually, it was a lady. She was by herself. And this lady, I sent her to a nice restaurant in our town. She bought herself 2 pieces of pie. She had a bottle of wine. I mean, by the time she got done, it was more money that I spent for her dinner than she paid for the booking.
Oh, man.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah, so next time, okay, so this is what I did. I said, go out and buy yourself dinner. Now what I'm going to say is, here's $40 to go enjoy dinner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not going to give them. She sent me a bill for $80 for one person. I'm like, she said, yeah, and it says on the receipt she had a cheesecake and then she had one to go. Like, totally took advantage, right?
Yeah, take that to your boss to be like, nah, I ain't paying for the second cheesecake.
Yeah. So yeah, but you know what? It was my fault because the only time we've ever missed a cleaning is when I was in charge of it. I was supposed to clean it. I forgot. So yeah, we don't leave me in charge of that kind of stuff anymore. It's dangerous.
See, guys, that is the power of not only outsourcing, but knowing your strengths and weaknesses, and then you do a better job overall. Outsourcing what you're not good at, understanding that, and then your business keeps thriving.
One cool, yeah, exactly. And one cool thing that you told me, Cammie, is that by renting that house, the one that's $10,000 a month, and it helped y'all get through like a tough time. It helped support y'all through a tough time.
Yeah, actually, my husband, I don't know what the deal is, but he's been getting laid off in the last couple of years. I think it's the gray ceiling. You know, anytime you get after 50, 55, it seems like the corporate kind of kicks you to the curb. Mm-hmm. Which really, really stinks. It doesn't make any sense because that's when people are usually hitting their stride and they're very experienced and very polished. But corporate America kind of has been spitting my husband out, which is frustrating. That's really why I started my business with Airbnbs, because I wanted more control over my destiny, although these cities and all this regulation makes it a little bit, iffy. But I have another idea that I'm working on, actually, because I'm always just a little bit out in front of other people's ideas. And one thing that I wanted to do was the Sprinter van. So I want to do Airbnb on wheels. So basically, when a city runs me out, I just move to the next. So, and not only that, like when it's a great time to rent up in the Northwest, it's a summer. Okay, when summer's done, I head down to Florida. So I have a year-round busy season. So
when you say Northwest, what do you mean?
Washington State, California, Oregon.
You rent in Washington State and Oregon?
Yeah. Well, actually, what we were going to do, we were going to buy a fleet of vans, and people are doing this. We actually rented one. We rented 2. We rented one for a week up in Seattle. It cost us $1,200 for the week. And my husband and I, we were just testing the market to kind of see if this is something we wanted to do. And it's outdoorsy. I don't know if you've heard of that or not, but it's a platform where you can rent your RV. And so I wanted to do these Sprinter vans because they're basically tiny homes on wheels. And so what we learned was 32 years of marriage is not enough to spend that much time together in a little tiny van where you eat, sleep, go to the bathroom, shower. No, it's not cool. So, but we learned so much because it's a completely different business model. Mm-hmm. Like Airbnb guests, they're usually hardly in your house. But if you're going to be renting a Sprinter van, they're always in that house. they're always in there. So the wear and tear on that property, and plus, how do you know how they're going to drive? And so we learned a lot. We decided we're not going that direction.
So, and you said this is popular in Washington and Oregon, because that's where I'm from. So I'm like, hold on, that's popular up there?
Oh yeah, it's very popular, but
Oh.
they're very expensive to get into, and the wear and tear and the insurance and outdoorsy takes 25%. Like it's a lot.
So you need a bunch of them.
Well, I think there needs to be a better platform. 25% is really gouging the owners.
I think it's because, and it's on wheels, right?
Yeah, they're Sprinter vans. Have you seen them?
Mm-mm.
Oh man, it's one of my dreams. I actually, because I like to travel a lot, but I like to have all the things like that I like. Yeah, go to outdoorsy.com or put in. I'll share it with you later.
Oh, okay, I seen it. Okay, a 2020 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter.
Yep, exactly.
Whoa, these things are huge.
They make them nice.
They're
You stand
expensive.
up in them.
They cost like the really nice ones are about 180, 190,000. They're expensive.
Yeah, this dude has a custom one for $200K.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So we also went to Santa Cruz, and we stayed in the Santa Cruz Mountains in a tiny home, and that's all the rage. Actually, tiny homes are where it's at. These millennials, they love tiny homes.
Mhm.
So if you can get a tiny home with a composting toilet, and you can put it somewhere where people frequent, and the city, it has to be a little bit outside of cities.
This was my thing with tiny homes. This is what I was going to do. I was just going to buy a plot of land and put a bunch of tiny homes on them. But this was my thing. Does tiny homes include land? Is it considered land improvement?
Not if it can move. It's similar to a manufactured home or a mobile home. So if you can put a foundation down and you can anchor it to it, that's different.
Okay.
So basically, like, we have a manufactured home that's the place in Justin, and we put about 20,000 into it. The funny thing is, when people pull up, because we show all the pictures for Airbnb, but sometimes I'll get a text message and be like, I don't think we're at the right place. I'm like, why is that? And they're like, we didn't rent a mobile home. And I'm like, oh yeah, you did. So they walk in and they're like, oh, it's really nice inside, so. But yeah, we tried to get refinancing on it, and we have to actually anchor it down to the foundation for it to actually be, like, included in the value of the land.
Okay, so if you were to get like 20 tiny homes, you anchor it down, then it would improve land. Okay.
But the beauty of a tiny home is if the city changes a regulation, you just move somewhere else.
So how hard is it? You can unanchor them though, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. See, you're helping me out now. See, that was my whole thing about tiny homes. I'm like, if that don't include, it doesn't include land improvement, I was kind of scared. But
there's wheels. You just pull up and go on to the next town.
Jeez.
Not only that, you could move on the seasons. So if you have a lot down in Florida and you want to pull that thing down there, that's what we were going to do. We were going to move our entire fleet from the Northwest down to Florida, like on a cycle.
Dang.
Nice.
Wow, that's smart.
But we actually learned it wasn't that smart, because vehicles break down, the insurance, just how much time people spend in there. It's a lot of wear and tear. And I think maybe a few marriages might get ruined. I don't know. My husband, I was like, oh man, we've never had a real argument like in all these years. But I thought we were gonna have to go to a hotel and just eat the $1,000. But after about 8 hours, he calmed down.
See, and I think that's the thing with why these companies like like if you get a Sprinter van, I think that's why they charge that 25% is because of all the extra insurance. Because Turo charges that too.
Well, they charge it on top of that. So the platform, we need to start a new platform. That's where the money's at. Like, why not just use everyone else's assets and just have a software piece?
That's true.
Now we're talking.
He does it, yeah.
I'm down for that, because I think Hey, I think it's time for Airbnb to have a legit competitor.
Yeah, me too. Hey, did you all hear about VRBO? I heard some chatter the other day that VRBO is not paying people and they're not giving refunds to their guests. I don't know if that was just like a random. It was on Facebook, one of those Airbnb professional host thing.
Let me check my payouts because someone just stayed with me on VRBO. Hold on, that's good. I don't
Well,
ever check.
it would take you 30 days to get it.
Ooh.
VRBO takes forever.
Hold up, VRBO. We might have a problem. But yeah, I do know that was my only thing with them. I know they pay a little bit weirder than Airbnb, but I've been noticing Airbnb's payouts have been slowing down. Like, you know
Sure
how
they are. They're using our float.
Dude, it's like if you have if I have like 10 reservations in a day, 10 check-ins, usually that next day I get the bulk of the payouts. Sometimes the payouts come in the day after, like the day after.
Usually takes 3. I mean, they say they're sending it the next day, but usually 3 to 7 days. But, they're smart. They're using our money.
Even though Airbnb got paid a long time ago.
Oh, I know. And sometimes the guests get mad because they're like, we already paid, or even with VRBO, they're like, well, you already have my money. And it's like, no, they don't understand. I don't have your money.
Yeah, I just send them the number. Call these guys. Talk to them,
Hold up. I think you're right. I don't think HomeAway's paid me.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
people are worried that they're going out of business because people are trying to get refunds and hosts are trying to get paid. So I don't know. I'm actually thinking I'm going to pull my listings all off of there because I don't want to get stuck with someone staying for, a week and then I'm out a couple $1,000s.
Because I did Airbnb out of that Hearst house, and I had them on, Airbnb, VRBO, and what's the other one? The freaking international
HomeAway, Booking.com.
Booking.com. Yeah, they suck. Screw them. I'll never
Yeah,
do that
they
again.
do.
And so when I did the Arlington one, my last Airbnb, I just said I'm just gonna do straight Airbnb. I ain't even gonna mess with the other ones. They're just a headache. They're not even worth it. And man, I was booked up. I mean, I made more money than ever before just by focusing on just Airbnb.
Yeah.
That's all you needed.
Yeah, I've only had like 3 bookings on VRBO. One, I don't understand it. It's confusing to me. Like, it's much harder than Airbnb. It's not very intuitive.
Right.
And that's where Airbnb crushes everybody is their software development. It crushes them. That's where they're going to beat everyone is their technology. It's so easy, user-friendly.
It's too bad they don't have, I don't know if you've noticed this, the customer service in the last year has pretty much just disappeared.
I'm happy you brought that up because, I mean, Airbnb's customer service is absolutely terrible. Like, even if you message them back and forth, they'll take 24 hours to get back to you. But if you do that to a guest, I guarantee you Airbnb is going to have a problem with it.
No. Okay, listen to this. The other day, I had an Airbnb case manager threaten me. Yeah, I'm like, okay, I was driving from Dallas to Argyle. It takes 40 minutes, and I'm not going to look at my phone when I'm driving.
Mm-hmm.
And so a case manager texts me at like 5 o'clock. I get home at 5:40. She texts me. She goes, if I don't hear from you in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to cancel your reservation and give you penalties. And I'm like,
they did the same
what?
thing to me. They've been doing the same thing. I think they're trying to get people. But if you message them, like I get messages back from them every hour, or it takes 2 to 3 days. I'm like, but you guys want us to immediately respond to you?
You got to hear this. So I had what I thought was a party going on in my house down in College Station. It's a 4-bedroom, 4-bath. And these guys show up. It's 14 people filing into my house. Next thing you know, the T-shirts are going over my cameras. And I'm like, I don't want to call the police because I don't want attention to my property. Mm-hmm. And so I call him up, and the guy's like, oh, hey, we got a 7-on-7 football team. They're only registered for 2 guests. And he's like, oh, their parents are going to come pick them up later. And I'm like, no way, man, really? And so anyways, they all stay there. And so I call Airbnb and I said, I want to cancel this reservation. I want them out. This is not what I signed up for. And so they said they were escalating it to the I don't know, safety department or something, whatever they have, this new department. So I never get a phone call back. I never get a message. I work it out with the guest. And then on Sunday, when they checked out, I get a message from Airbnb that the reservation's been canceled and the guest was given a full refund. And I was like, are you kidding me? So they got a full refund in my house. I didn't get paid. But the cool thing is, my August lock, it locked them out and they didn't show up for their stuff. So I kind of was like, pay me, you get your stuff.
Extortion.
Yeah, well, you do what you got to do. So there was 14 kids standing outside of my house, and the guy's like, let me in, let me in. I said, sure enough, get out your credit card. I got my Square ready to collect right now.
Did you get it?
I got it.
Hell
I
yeah.
like the
I don't
way you
screw
do
around.
business.
So
I
buy
like the way you
August
do
lock,
business.
everybody. August lock.
Weren't those the locks that my guy Aaron in Portland used? And I was like, man, these are some good locks. So yeah, man.
Yeah, we actually use the Yale lock now. They sell them at Costco, and so it integrates with August. But August can be a little bit dicey.
What's your issue with August? Because I want to know before I switch to
Oh
it.
man, August is tough because first of all, you need to have a keypad for those people who are not tech savvy. And one thing, we have 2 Chinese families that are stuck in our Airbnbs right now. They can't get back to China. I know, it freaks me out a little bit. Do I need to send a hazmat in?
A coronavirus, yeah.
Yeah. So they are stuck in ours. So they can't use their phone because a Chinese iPhone will not run the August lock. There's some kind of a known bug. But if it's an Android phone, it will. So basically, you need a backup. So you need some kind of a keypad. The Yale has the keypad, so you can program a code in there instead of doing the phone, because I just find people do not want to mess around with the August lock, the app, and sometimes it's dicey. And
Yeah, and that was one thing when I was using it, because I stayed at an Airbnb up in Portland and he had it, and I was like, man, I like them. But that was the only thing I was concerned about. I'm pretty tech savvy, but if someone else, yeah, that could be a problem. I'm happy you told me that. So
I like the Yale because it has the option for both, and I can control the lock, which I like.
You like control.
I do.
So how much is it? How much is a Yale lock?
$236 is what they cost at Costco.
because I've been sticking with the remote lock 5 Eyes, and they've been doing pretty well. The only reason I'm hard to switch is because I have all of them under one portal, and I can someone just logs in and everything's done automatically. They send the code automatically, guest gets it. So someone instant books it done.
I'm going to have to look into that because that's how August is supposed to be. But what happens is people will book like a month ahead of time, and then August sends out the integrated email right away. And then a month later, they're like, hey, where's my code? And I'm like, check your email from a month ago.
So Remote Lock fixed that problem. So they were emailing it, but they integrated with Airbnb. So they'll send it directly through the app.
And it's just called Remote Lock?
Remote Lock 5i. You can go to remotelock.com. And I've been loving them.
I'm going to switch because these August locks, they give me headaches and I do get bad reviews.
Yeah, because that freaking email thing was messing me up too, because people are like, oh, I don't have a code. I'm like, check your email. But now it's like, okay, it goes directly through the app. I'm done.
Ah, that's good. Well, the other thing too, you got to have a backup. We're all about redundancy. And I learned these lessons the hard way. Like one time I went to bed early, like 9 o'clock, and my guys, they came back drunk. And they were so drunk that they put the code in so many times to my electronic lock, they ran the battery out. And so these guys, I watched them on the camera. They were ridiculous. They couldn't barely stand up. And so anyways, I was already in bed, so I didn't have all these systems in place. So they ended up going and staying on their buddy's floor at their hotel room. And so I woke up at like 3 a.m, checked my phone. I'm like, oh my God, they're locked out. And so like I went to Walmart. At 3 a.m, I bought like a 6-course meal and I cooked them this amazing breakfast. I texted them and they were pretty hungover, but they had to go home to their wives. So I had them come home. They showered. got ready to leave and then ate dinner, but our breakfast. And that's when I found out you can't buy champagne at Walmart at 3 a.m. apparently. So, anyways, yeah, they gave me a good review too. If that was a woman, oh man, I would have not survived that.
Oh yeah.
They were like the 7 doors walking in. They're like, "Hi, my name's Joe," and I'm like, they were so cool. I would have been so mad.
Yeah, those locks. I'm happy you said that about a backup plan because I just
We have redundancy.
Yeah, I just had to charge somebody $130 for being an idiot with locks. So somehow this lady locks herself out of our house. We have the redundant lock, the remote lock, but this property is in Arkansas. They have my parents. It's their house, and I just manage it for them. They have an extra lock on the bottom lock. I didn't know they had it.
Oh no, someone locked it.
Yeah, but this is the bad part. My backup plan is to let them in through the garage because I can remotely open the garage from wherever I am in the world. It's Wi-Fi. They locked the door to go into the garage. They locked the door. I'm like, how is this even possible? I'm like, what the? So we ended up having, and then the funny thing is, my dad was here at my house and he had the key. So we had to hire a locksmith, go change the lock. I charged them $130. I'm like, there's no way you locked all these locks in the house. And then we looked at the cameras. What they did was they locked the lock to the garage, closed the garage, pushed the button on the garage, and ran under the garage. I'm like, you had to be retarded to do that. But I was like, all right, whatever. So yeah, I charged them $130 for that.
So we have 3 lock boxes on a property. So we have a hospitality team. It's like the master box, and no guest ever gets that code. And it has all the keys for every unit on our property in that box. Mm-hmm. And so then we have a backup for the guest, and that's kind of what got me in trouble on the listing when the city came. They noticed that little box. They're like, we noticed you have a lockbox. I'm like, yeah, so because my handyman comes in a lot, or my house cleaning comes in a lot. And they're like, yeah, that's what we thought. I'm like, and why do you have all these cameras around your house? Well, because we like security. Well, why do you have a little sign saying welcome Sam? Oh,
welcome Sam.
Yeah, we have like a little sign, and it's like a smile, and it says, hey, welcome, whatever their name is. We changed their name, and yeah, that kind of.
That's your maintenance guy.
Yeah. Just welcome our team every day. Yeah. Anyways, we ended up taking the signs down, and so we're still trying to figure out if we're going to test that because we haven't been cited yet.
Yeah, it's getting tough out here.
Yeah, it is. But I like the challenge. But like I said, Dallas is Airbnb friendly right now. They just set up their website so that you can register your Airbnb, which I'm really scared. It's like, do I want to register so that they can shut me down later? Or, I mean, they want their hot tax. I'm fine with paying the tax, but it's like Big Brother. They know exactly where I'm at.
This is my thing with cities that want you to pay the tax, but they don't want the tax to come from Airbnb. That's always where when I start getting skeptical because Arlington did that.
Yeah.
They pay the tax, but we don't take it through Airbnb. Unlike Plano's like, we'll take the tax straight from Airbnb. That's when I get skeptical because I'm like, why don't you just take it from Airbnb? But instead they want to it seems like they want to get addresses, start kind of pinpointing people. And I'm like, I don't know.
That's because, well, I mean, I'm just going to give him your address. And then later I'll message the guest and be like, oh, whoops, I made a mistake. It's actually the house 3 doors down.
I like the way she does business.
She's a rock star. Got
to be one step ahead. But, hey, it's almost past my bedtime, guys.
Oh, yeah, we've been at it for a while.
We have been going at it. This is a good combo.
All right, leave us with one Cammy tip for all the wannabe Airbnbers out there. One Cammy, one hardcore Cammy tip.
All right, here's the thing. Do not try to recreate the wheel. If you have somebody like myself who's willing to come in and set you up and get you successful day one, honestly, that's the best money you could ever spend. So that's the tip I would leave you with is don't try to be an expert at everything. find somebody who is the expert, pay a little bit up front, and then have more success a lot quicker. I mean, those hosts that have been doing this for a while, they can tell you that they've cut their teeth and they've earned their stripes. Airbnb is not for the weak at heart, for sure. So that's my tip. And if you guys want to talk to me more about this, you can go to our website. Our website is execustays.com. That's EXECUSTAYS.com. Execustays.com. And we'll be happy to have a consult with anybody who's interested in getting into Airbnb or helping us or letting us help you manage your property.
So anywhere in the world you can manage their property, or anywhere in the United States.
We're in the U.S. right now. I'm not sure about around the world. Yeah, I don't know if I'm qualified for that.
Okay, yeah. So anywhere in the United States, hit up Cami if you want an expert to do this for you and for like a small fee. I mean, yeah, hit her up. I'm thinking about doing it too with my future Airbnbs. So there you go.
Yeah,
thank you so much, Cami.
Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
it's been
thanks
real.
for coming on. It's good having you.
We'll have to do a part 2 because we got a lot more stuff to talk about. So
awesome. Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks. Good night.
Bye.
Bye. And
that was Cami Myles. That was actually a really good episode. And Steve, anything else? Closing thoughts on your end?
On my end, man, I checked out a couple houses today, and yeah, I'm going full speed ahead, dude.
That's what's up, man. That's what's
so. I just I might be hitting up Cami to run them for me. So that's what we're looking.
We're ready.
She's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be sending you the info, Cami.
All right, let's do some business. Let's make some money together.
Let's do it. Yeah, sure. You won't laugh at my numbers anymore. They'll be your numbers.
That's right.
Well, thanks for checking it. Thanks for listening to Live Let Thrive. It means a lot that our fans are still still all about the Live Let Thrive life, and yeah, man, the support is awesome.
Yeah, we're still pushing it, still growing. So yeah, keep us in there. Remember, leave us a review on iTunes. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. We're always doing something on there. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're ready to get your health and fitness game together, be sure to follow Mahogany Artist on IG, and be sure to follow us on IG, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We appreciate the love, and thanks for being listeners. LLT is out.
Later.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.